forgot to put my shoes back on, so I'm just going to do it in barefoot. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much to Mandy for welcoming us here today in such a beautiful way. And it's so amazing to gather together after so much time apart during COVID. So I want to begin my talk today by asking you a question. Can you put your hand up if you missed cuddles and hugs during COVID? Put your hand up. Okay. And keep your hand up if you also realise the importance of togetherness, connection and community as a result of social isolation. You guys are my crowd. I kind of thought that was going to be the case, but I'm definitely in the right place because over the last 2 years, I think we've all really missed connection and community, and it's very much now in our hearts. So I'd like to take a moment to do something together. I'd like us all to close our eyes and just take a moment to remember the very best cuddle that you've had. So just take a moment to recreate that in your mind. Where were you? Who was it with? Why was it so important? Why did it mean so much to you? What were you giving in that cuddle and that embrace? And what were you receiving? And really feel that in your body. Feel it in your heart. And just enjoy that moment. Okay, so we're going to come back now into the room. Now, we're recovering from COVID physically in the world, I hope. But I believe that the world is sick, connection is the cure, and touch is the prescription. I just want to say that again. I believe that the world is sick, connection is the cure, and touch is the prescription. And what I want to talk to you about today is the importance of touch to us as humans, and why it's so important right now to hold ourselves, to hold our babies and children, and to hold space for each other so that we can create a truly connected and whole world. So this is one of my favourite quotes, and it's something that I really want to share with you so that we can understand why it was difficult during COVID not being together. So human beings cannot survive without touch. It's a basic behavioural need. So why do we love to be held and to be touched so much? Well, it's because we are social creatures, we're mammals. We're actually born to connect, we're born to gather, and we're born to live in community. We want to play together, we want to sleep together, we want to eat with each other. We actually want to come together from the me to the we to co-create for the greatest good of us all. And this is why we've missed connection and community so much in COVID. And also, when we come together with other humans, we help to regulate our own emotions simply by being present with each other and through sharing experience. For me, relationships and connection is what gives life meaning. Now, this is me. Check the 70s hairstyle there. So as a child, I didn't actually receive many hugs and cuddles. And as an adult, I've realised that touch is actually my main love language. And I'm a very affectionate person. Now, I wanted to share with you one of the most memorable cuddles I've ever had in my life, and one that completely changed my life. I might get a little bit emotional here. Because it was actually a cuddle with my daughter, Emily, 20 years ago, who is here, over there, today with me. And so for those of you who don't know my story, about 20 years ago, I was working in the city as a lawyer, and I had a very disconnected life. I was disconnected to myself. My colleagues around me, I felt like I didn't belong. I had imposter syndrome, and it led to quite a lot of social anxiety. And then when I was 26, I unexpectedly became pregnant with Emily. And from the moment I became pregnant, I was so excited and I had an instant connection with her even before she was born. And I really couldn't wait to become a mother. Now, the very first baby that I'd ever held was actually Emily. So the midwife handed me Emily, and I felt her beautiful pink warm skin against mine, and I looked into her beautiful blue eyes, and I felt completely, deeply in love. Sorry. And not only did I fall in love with her, but I also fell in love with myself as a mother, because it was at that moment that I realised that that was my true passion and purpose. And I've enjoyed every single moment since then. And I went on in the next 3.5 years to have my boys, 𝐥𝐤𝐬 and 𝐥𝐤𝐬, and my children are very much my inspiration. So that one cuddle completely and utterly changed my life, and it's actually the reason why I'm standing on this stage now. So that's how powerful it was, and the reason why many of you are in the room teaching love with me, because of that first cuddle that I had with Emily. So cuddles and hugs can totally and utterly transform our lives. So why do we like being held so much? Why does it give us this feeling of connection and oneness? Well, it's because we start life being held. We start life in the womb. The womb is a container of love. Here we experience unconditional love because all of our needs are met. We are rocked from side to side. We are lullabied to sleep by the sound of our mother's body. We have food on tap, we have a massage all day long. So who wouldn't want to enjoy that environment? And that's why the womb is a place of safety and security. And here we experience true connection and oneness. Now, from this space, we then enter the world, and sometimes it's a joyous and easy process, and sometimes it can be a messy and difficult business. But we go from this sense of oneness, connection, and together to then be very separate. And as you can imagine, for a baby, that can feel really disruptive. But luckily, due to birthing practices now around the world, the miracle of skin to skin and the golden hour is practiced really widely. And skin to skin is absolutely amazing, because what it does is physically it helps to regulate babies' body temperature, regulate their heart rate, regulate their breathing. It even boosts their immune system. So physically, we're recreating that safety and security of the womb with skin to skin contact. But even more than that, this is the first time that baby meets their caregivers. They understand that they are loved, they are seen, they are heard, they are valued, they are important. And so these moments of skin to skin after birth are so important for our baby's physical development and their emotional development, and for the start of the bonding and attachment process. So I've learned so much about why touch and being held is so important. And when I went to Malawi a few years ago to set up a voluntary project there to train orphanage staff how to give more loving care, nurturing care, and touch to babies in their care, I was really able to see what happens when babies don't have that responsive nurturing care or their primary caregiver. And it was quite shocking that the babies that were around 2 or 3, their development was really only of a 6-month or a 12-month-old baby. They also had a lot of social anxiety and a lot of fear around being with adults. And I hope in some small way, by empowering the staff there to use more nurturing touch, I've been able to help to create better connection. But what we know, and you've probably seen this slide before, about how love and nurturing care affects babies' brains. This is a slide of a 3-year-old's brain. One brain is of a child who's experienced nurturing care and love, and the other one is of a child who's experienced extreme neglect, probably quite similar to the babies that I was working with in the orphanages in Malawi. And what you can see here is that the effect of nurture is so important. Responsive care, nurture and love helps build babies' brains, and it creates the wiring that we take into adulthood, and it really can define how much we reach our full potential as humans. Babies who have experienced extreme neglect or toxic stress in childhood, as you can see, their brain is smaller, it's wired in a different way. There's actually can be black holes in the emotional part of the brain where baby's been in what's called fight, flight, or freeze, and the stress hormones in the baby's body have actually blocked baby's ability to learn and to develop social interaction. So this is why love matters, and this is what keeps me up at night, is that every single moment babies are being born and we get to choose love or we get to choose fear. And no prizes for guessing what I choose every single time. So what does this all mean? I've talked a lot about physical touch and love. And yes, I am a hippie, you can tell because I've got bare feet on the stage here now, but I'm also a science kind of research geek as well. And this is my very favourite hormone. That's how geeky I am. I do actually have a favourite hormone, and it's oxytocin. And oxytocin is the hormone of love, it's the hormone of relationships, it's the hormone of trust and connection. And so if you want to understand what happens in our bodies when we touch and hold each other, is we produce oxytocin, which activates all the relaxation responses in our body. And it puts our body into what's called rest and digest by activating the parasympathetic nervous system. So what this means is that babies sleep better, they eat better. Also, new parents really benefit from oxytocin because it's the love hormone. It helps to them bond with their baby, and it can boost things like milk supply and help to shrink the womb after birth as well. So we want to have as much oxytocin around in the body during pregnancy, during birth, and in the postnatal period as well. And what is so amazing about oxytocin is it's produced when we hug somebody. So if you think about a baby who's crying, they might be crying because they have a need that they need to have met. They might be experiencing fear. They produce stress hormones in their body, but then when we go and pick them up and hold them close, their body and our body produces oxytocin to bring them back into balance again. How amazing is that? So this is the power of touch. This is the power of hugging. And you know, probably today you'll experience it if you're connecting with people in this room. You'll feel how important it is to feel that love and to be held. So I've talked quite a lot at the moment about the physical benefits of being held, but let's go a bit deeper. As Mandy was talking about earlier, what about holding space for babies? What about holding emotional space and energetic space to honour babies so that they feel truly seen, heard and understood? Now, at Blossom and Berry, we talk a lot about the physical benefits of baby massage, but we also talk about the importance of holding space. And so we have a concept that we call the love bubble. And in baby massage, our baby massage classes, it's not just about the benefits of massage for digestion and circulation, nervous system, all of those things. They are amazing. But even deeper than that is the fact that in that practice of baby massage, you get to connect with your baby. You get to learn more about your baby's cues. You can communicate to your baby. You can consciously be there. And for me, the gift of presence to babies and children is one that travels with them for the rest of their lives. So in our classes, when we create a love bubble, we really see babies and they know how important they are. And this appreciation and understanding of babies helps to develop self-love, mental health, and also attachment, which are all the things that we need to create healthy relationships as we grow older in our lives. So, if it's so easy, if the answer is so easy, touch everybody, hug everybody, why are we not doing this more? So, I'm just going to say this very loudly. You cannot spoil a baby. Anyone with me? Raise your hand. Yep. Round of applause for that one. Yeah. So I just want to repeat, you cannot spoil a baby with love. This is a cultural construct that just simply does not rest in science and research. In fact, the only way you can spoil a baby is by not responding to your baby's needs and giving them nurturing care and love. And when I was researching this talk, I found out something that was absolutely, truly shocking. that up until the 1940s, babies were actually operated on without anaesthetic, which is absolutely incredible because it was believed that babies couldn't feel pain, that they didn't have emotional responses, and that they were different to adults. And it wasn't until 1987 in America that it became illegal to use anaesthetic. So even in the 1980s, there were some situations where babies were being operated on without anaesthetic. So I think we have come a long way since then, but there's a lot of misconceptions about infant mental health. Luckily, there's a whole body of research now in the first 1001 days of life, which is what we're here to celebrate today. And we've got amazing speakers to share their take on all of this. And a particular research study that's been done by Dr. Bruce Parry has shown that it's the first 8 weeks of life that are actually the most important. So not even the first 1001 days, it's those first 8 weeks where babies are particularly sensitive to trauma and stress. But the good news is that with nurturing care and responsive parenting, we can help to reverse that and help babies to reach their full potential. So, again, that's all well and good, but there is one big problem here, and it's the elephant in the room. If we put all of our focus onto holding babies, that puts a lot of pressure on parents. And the thing we need to ask ourselves is who is holding the parents so that they can hold the babies? And this is very important and part of our mantra at Blossom & Berry, which is love creates love. Because if you can't hold yourself and love yourself as a parent, you don't have that capacity to love and hold your baby. Now, I had 3 children in 3.5 years. It was a busy time, and I definitely felt what it was like to be overwhelmed as a parent. I'd get up at 5:30 in the morning. I would make sure my children were happy, healthy, feed them, get them dressed, change nappies, come down, probably watch some CBeebies, play, clear everything up, then take one child to nursery, another one to school, come back, clear up, take out the dog, make the lunch. I can go on. Those of you who've had kids will understand what I mean. And that was till about 9 o'clock every night. And I did that for about 10 years. And when my youngest son got to about a year, I really started to not feel myself, and I started to experience some anxiety and unease. And I realized it was because simply I was depleted of energy and I was giving out so much. Now, luckily for me, I recognized that very early and I was able to ask for support. And it was that support that enabled me to fully enjoy my children and to fully bring joy into my life as well. So what can we do to help parents hold themselves? Well, there's a number of challenges around this. The first one is if you've never been held or experienced love as a child, it can be quite difficult to then hold and love your own babies and children. And there's no judgment on that. But again, just as we know love creates love, what we experience as children, we can go on to repeat when we become parents. So that can be a barrier for some parents. On top of this, there's a lot of pressure on what a good parent is supposed to be. We can get really overwhelmed by social media. And if we've had a life before babies where we've been able to hold ourselves and divert all of our energy to have fulfilling and satisfying life, when we have our baby, we can feel that we're sharing that energy, and that can bring up resentments and uncomfortable feelings that we then judge ourselves about. But actually, that's completely normal. Transitioning into a parent, it's not the Disney version, it's the real version, and it brings up light and dark, and it's really important to acknowledge that. And last of all, I think sometimes we don't even want to hold ourselves as parents because it means we have to get up close and personal with ourselves. And sometimes that's messy and uncomfortable as well. And if you've got quite a loud inner critic or a judgmental voice inside of your head, you might actually avoid spending time holding yourself and look outside for external validation with social media or whatever it is. So there are a lot of issues that make it difficult for parents to hold themselves. The other question is then, who else can hold parents? So I think that the state of postnatal care in this country is, it's not fantastic. We've got amazing people and practitioners who really want to give that care, but there are many, many barriers and restrictions to them working in the way that they want to. And I was very lucky that I was able to go to Malaysia, to the University of Kuala Lumpur, about 3 or 4 years ago, to study postnatal care in the first 40 days of life. And I learned all about the rituals that new mums received in terms of massage and diet, amazing diet and food, nutrition that they were given. And I met lots of the new mums, and I was able to talk to them. What's it like to have a baby? How are you treated as a new mum? And what they said really, really surprised me, because I said, what word would you describe your experience of being a new mum? And they said, I felt like a complete queen. And I was like, wow. And they said, I am celebrated, I am nurtured, my whole family comes around me to celebrate the fact that I've created life. My family invests in me to rest and recover so that I can be an amazing mother and support my family into the future. So a long-term view of why it's so important to support new mothers, because you're a mother for life. And you're not just a mother for the first day that you happen to be given your baby. And I'm not sure how many new mums in this country would say, if asked, how do you feel about being a new mother? They wouldn't necessarily describe themselves as being a queen. So I would like all new mothers in this country to feel like that. I'd like them to feel celebrated and valued, and that's part of the work that we do at Blossom and Berry. So, what can we do? Because I'm a love activist, and I believe that love creates love. And I was thinking, I want to share some things with you today, which I think are really important, which means that we can take action and really nurture the future, particularly in this first 1,001 days of life. So the first thing is, number one, is to hold yourself. If you're a parent in this room or if you're a practitioner, hold yourself and be your own best friend. Really love and accept yourself for who you are. Love yourself unconditionally. Express your needs. Honor your needs. Listen to your voice. Listen to your cries. Listen to your body, because you are so important, and because love creates love. If we don't develop a deep connection to ourselves, we can't do that with anyone else, particularly our babies and children. And I did this with my children. I decided I was going to be 100% authentic with them from the beginning, because it's too long to pretend to be anything else. And I'm very happy to say that they're now all teenagers, and 20 over there. And I have a wonderful, wonderful relationship with them. And so be yourself. I promise you, you won't regret it. And that authenticity will travel with you in everything that you do. Number two is hold our babies and children more. Hold our babies and children more. So as I've shown you today, it's so important to touch and hold babies. That physical connection is everything. Babies don't understand words. They don't understand gifts. They understand the embodiment of love. They understand being held, being seen, being listened to, being accepted, and that they belong. When we let babies know that they are important and they are valued, this is the foundation of mental health. And everybody's mental health is infant mental health. So what we do at the beginning shows up at the end. So it's so important to hold our babies tight. And we can teach our babies that the world is a loving and compassionate place, because love creates love. The last thing that we can do, so many of us are practitioners in this room, is that we can hold safe spaces for parents and babies. Now, maybe some of you think, I'd like to do better at this. I'm going to go on this training course or listen to this podcast or read this book or do this or do that, because then I'll be able to serve my parents and babies more deeply. Maybe some of you have imposter syndrome sometime around this, but I just want to reflect something to you. You're all amazing in that if you're holding space for parents and babies, that's what counts. It's the being rather than the doing. It's the experience over the expectation. And no teaching plan, class structure can make up for you being fully present with your parents and babies. There is magic that happens in holding space and really allowing parents and babies to be seen, heard, to express themselves without judgment, and to create connection and community. So, if you're a Blossom and Berry teacher, I am here to hold you, and as many of you know, my arms are always open, and I celebrate and value you so much going out into the world to teach love. So I'd like to take a moment now to go back to where we started at the beginning. So if you want to close your eyes for a moment. And I want you to take you back to that embrace, that cuddle, and how much it really meant to you, and how much you enjoyed it, what you gave, what you received, how it felt in your body, how it felt in your heart. And let's hold spaces for ourselves, our babies, and our community. Through holding each other in love, acceptance, trust, and oneness, we can create a society that is connected and healthy, and we can ensure the future of the world is safe in our hands. Thank you very much.